Salim Mansur is a Canadian immigrant, a scholar, and serious thinker. He is a consultant with the Center for Security Policy in Washington, D.C. He is a keen observer of radical Islam's war against the West. He was ostracized after writing columns condemning the Taliban, and on 2 occasions, fatwas were issued against him calling for his death. He is the author of Delectable Lie, a Liberal Repudiation of Multiculturalism. It is my pleasure to welcome Professor Salim Mansur to Studio 4 to tell us more. A pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Fanny. Thank you for having me.
You'd almost think multiculturalism was a liberal thing. It was certainly Trudeau's dream, something Trudeau wanted very badly.
Well, I mean, this is a matter of, thinking about it and discussing it. Did he want it really badly? Because towards the end of his life in the late 1990s, and I talk about it, he was invited for a private visit to the Parliament in Ottawa, and there were a select group of MPs who came and joined him at the invitation of the Speaker. I think it was Speaker Milliken. And so this was a very private occasion. But then subsequently, people did talk about it who were there, and one of them who talked about it was, at that time, a member of Parliament, John Bryden from Southern Ontario, and now he's Senator John Bryden, and he talked about it, and he was the one who asked Trudeau the question that, you are the father of multicultural policy. Now, looking back at it, at that time, it was more than 3 decades ago. This was October of 2011 was 40 years, the anniversary. So what are your reflections, Prime Minister? What do you think about it? And according to the reports that I have read, which came out subsequently, Trudeau fell silent and in a sense, pensive. And he said, well, he was very disappointed. And when asked what it is, why was he disappointed? Trudeau's reply was, this is not what he had in mind. That what he had in mind was that the immigrants would celebrate their own culture from wherever they're coming. They would maintain it, celebrate it, but they would move into the Canadian fabric. They would become Canadian. 40 years later, what we have, a country extremely divided on this issue. And, I don't know what the Prime Minister would be saying if it was here on the 40th anniversary.
Also, at the time, we were trying to determine exactly what multiculturalism meant. Right. Brian Mulroney endorsed it down the road. It became official policy. Right. And many people, immigrants or not, said, what does that mean exactly? Yeah. We know we're not the melting pot like in the United States, but we're proud Canadians and proud Canadian immigrants. Right. So where is multiculturalism, in your opinion, off the rails?
It is off the rail. I mean, look, other European countries followed Canada, Western European countries, Britain, France, Germany, the Netherlands. And over the last 6 months, all the heads of all these governments have come out and said, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel was the first one who spoke out publicly. Then David Cameron, the Prime Minister of Britain, Nicolas Sarkozy, the government of Netherlands, they've all repudiated multiculturalism. They said this has been a grand failure. So the question is why? And why have they come to this conclusion? We are reluctant to. It seems to be our default position, Canadian default position, is to say we are not American. I think that's a very weak argument. It's not a sense of pride, Nobody is saying that you are American, So who are we? So is multiculturalism is what we are, a hyphenated country and hyphenated identity? And apart from that, the whole question, what does multiculturalism mean? And that's what my book is all about.
Of course, but you call it a delectable lie.
Yes.
Why so?
Well, Fanny, this very notion of multiculturalism is such a pleasing idea. We are so civil, we're so polite. We sit down and talk about it. The world around us is so beautiful. It's an oyster. You walk around, you get Chinese food, Indian food, whatever it is, the dress and the music. Well, if that's multicultural, the world is multicultural. It is diverse and plural. So what is the core issue about it? When you look at it, when you penetrate it, it turns out that it is a delectable lie in the sense, the whole principle and policy of multiculturalism is a lie, but it's a very pleasing thing. We enjoy it. It's like people enjoy alcohol.
It's warm and fuzzy. It feels good, and we appear to be really tolerant and really fine because we embrace it. Yes. You suggest very strongly in most of your work and in your columns that as individuals we are born equal. Yes. But cultures are not born equal. Yes. What does that mean?
Precisely, Fanny. From the whole context of my argument is to put multiculturalism in some context, and that is liberalism, and that's a liberal repudiation in small l. So the core principle of liberalism, in a sense, classical liberalism, is freedom based upon individual rights. And the grand statement in political philosophy, which is reflected, say, in the American Declaration of Independence, is reflected in the French Rights of Man. So all men are created equal in the generic sense. It's not that the white men are created equal, or the Catholics are created equal. All men are created equal. The basis of the argument is the individual that represents the value, the ultimate value of what is goodness, what is freedom. Now, the argument that all cultures are created equal and all cultures deserve equal treatment, where does it come from? In 5,000 years of human history, nobody has said all cultures are equal. You go around to the Chinese, they don't say in their 5,000 years of history. Indian, I was born in India, Middle Easterner, the Roman, the European, and the notion all cultures are equal, when you start poking at it, examining, it's so absurd. Was the culture of the Visigoth and the Franks and the Hun equal to the culture of Rome even during its decline?
Well, in our own country, Aboriginal culture, yes, born equal, but not treated equally.
Yeah, fair enough. But, I'm talking about in a global sense and what Canada has been pursuing. Is the culture of the Taliban, is the culture that does not respect women as equal, gender equity, is that the same?
Cuts off a woman's hand, you mean, when it hangs below the burqa sleeve?
Yes, or genital mutilation.
Sharia law.
Sharia law. Is that culture equal to the culture that puts man on the moon? That decodes our DNA, and so on and so forth. So this notion all cultures are equal doesn't stand scrutiny.